My father acted immediately. He sent one cold text message, instantly erasing 32 years of shared life. I disown you. Contact my lawyer. The overhead light in my Seattle kitchen seemed to blink, as if the space itself registered the impact. My device buzzed just once before it went silent in my grip. There was no explanation, only instant banishment delivered in a single phrase. I responded with a single, calm word. Okay, I didn't weep. I didn't plead. Instead, I set the phone down, pulled out my laptop, and settled on a silent resolution. This choice would dismantle the entire framework of deception they had constructed. I believe that kitchens reveal a home's true nature. The kitchen where I grew up in Scottsdale always carried the scent of tension and stale coffee. My father, Walter, demanded total control. Low lights, quiet tones, suppressed feelings. My stepmother, Vivian, kept the surfaces immaculate while a hidden stress always brewed beneath. My older brother, Grant, moved through the rooms as if he held the title deed to everything. I quickly learned to occupy minimal space. Some argue that birth order defines character. For us, it wasn't the order. It was the assigned roles. My brother was the favored son, confirming that my father had produced success. I was the family scapegoat, the cushion absorbing the mess. If my brother created problems, I fixed them. If a payment was overdue, I covered it. If our father became angry, the blame inevitably fell on me. Leaving for college did not solve anything. Distance only increased my usefulness. I became the reliable one who consistently sent funds back. I was the daughter stable enough to mend their constant crises. 4 years ago, my father called. He was sobbing. I had never witnessed him cry before. He claimed the house was nearly lost to foreclosure. He vaguely mentioned that my brother had failed them. He added that my stepmother was consumed by anxiety. He insisted I was his final option, the only child he could depend on. This plea trapped me. I consented to assist, agreeing to help only until he recovered financially, he promised. I began handling the monthly house payment, then the necessary utilities, followed by minor crises that always surfaced right after my payday. I justified every payment as necessary to maintain harmony. The irony hurt, given my profession as an auditor. I could perfectly reconcile other clients' finances, yet I could not fix my own family's. Regardless, I persisted. Holiday meals felt completely fake. The smiles were forced. My stepmother would laud my brother's new vehicle or position, then pivot to me with a kind, condescending smirk. She said I just preferred to work quietly, implying that my professional ability was a weakness. However, things changed the week before my father's message arrived. My father seemed tense, as if concealing information. My brother refused to look me in the eye. My stepmother appeared nervous, constantly startled by phone alerts. Their facade was breaking. Then, during a regular evening, a text arrived from my uncle, Ted. It contained only a video file. This was footage I should never have viewed. The content of that video did more than just explain the subsequent text. It ignited the entire situation. The video's still image displayed my family gathered around the dining table in Scottsdale. It was the same worn oak table from my childhood, complete with the corner where my brother carved his initials at age 12. I felt a strange tightness in my chest even before starting the playback. The screen was shaking slightly. Uncle Ted must have been casually recording using his phone, not paying close attention. The room was excessively bright. My stepmother's chandelier cast a harsh white glare over everyone's faces. They all looked relaxed, happy, and settled, the way people feel when they are fully comfortable among close friends. I hit the play button. My father's low, raspy voice was the first sound, showing clear self-satisfaction. "She isn't a daughter," he stated. "She's just a walking ATM." Laughter exploded in the room. It was genuine, hearty laughter, the kind that fills a house when people share a deeply private joke. I froze instantly. My stepmother leaned in, shaking her head as though gently scolding him, yet her smile was broad. "Oh, Walter, stop it," she said through her amusement. "That girl is simply a hard worker, bless her heart. She enjoys being useful." My brother chimed in, his tone light and almost bored. "Seriously, Dad, she's honestly pathetic. You should hear her justifying sending you money to her colleagues. It's embarrassing." The shared laughter grew louder again. Uncle Ted snorted from behind the camera. My stomach knotted, but the sound continued, dragging me further into a reality I had deliberately avoided for years. My father held up his beer toward the person recording, making a toast. "To my personal ATM," he declared. "May she keep paying." Someone else clinked a glass. Another person whistled. A third voice offered, "Cheers." I hadn't realized my hand was completely numb until the phone almost dropped. It wasn't just what they said. It was the absolute ease, the comfort, and their total confidence that I would never find out. They thought I was too desperate for their acceptance to ever walk away. I pressed pause. The temperature in my apartment seemed to plummet. For the first time in my entire life, I felt no sorrow. I felt acutely aware. I replayed the video, focusing this time on their expressions, their relaxed body language, their casual cruelty, and the utter absence of remorse. This wasn't a sudden mistake. It was their established dynamic, a carefully designed system, a worldview that existed long before I understood it. I placed my phone down and blinked hard, trying to regain my breath. I needed clear thought. I needed fresh air. I stepped onto my apartment balcony. The autumn air in Seattle felt sharp against my skin, cold enough to sting. The city lights below twinkled like ominous signals. I leaned against the railing, the metal instantly freezing beneath my hands, letting the complete truth sink in. Everything finally clicked into place. My father's strange recent attitude, my stepmother's guilt-laden remarks, the way my brother constantly invented new expenses I had to cover. They were not suffering. They were not thankful. They were not trying to improve. They were scheming. The worst part was their sense of entitlement regarding my money. I went back inside, picked up the phone, and played the video one last time. I needed the full force of the indignation and the clear-eyed anger. Halfway through, a new text notification appeared. It was from my father. One line, "I disown you. Contact my lawyer." My chest tightened instantly. This feeling wasn't pain, it was recognition. They weren't punishing me. They must have feared I was about to confront them. They believed they were preemptively severing ties before I could disrupt their financial arrangement. They assumed they had control. I stared at the message for a long moment. Then I typed the response that changed everything. Okay. Not yes, not why, just okay. It was a complete stop, a bolted door, and a firm commitment. At that moment, standing alone, watching the people who raised me toast my humiliation, I realized the one thing I had always refused to see. I was not a member of their family. I was just an entry in their budget. The aftermath of betrayal is often surprisingly quiet. There was no screaming fit, no dramatic collapse, just a stark silence that seemed to echo through my apartment after I typed okay. I had never known this kind of quiet growing up. In my childhood house, silence was always a tool used for punishment, forcing obedience. Here, however, it felt empowering. I put my phone aside and opened my laptop. Since my father demanded communication run through his attorney, I would provide him exactly that: distance, cold clarity, and a separation he could never mistake for a childish fit. I started by opening my banking dashboard. The familiar blue and white screen loaded, and a faint tension in my chest eased as the data appeared. My professional training immediately took over. This ceased to be personal. It was procedural. Step 1, mortgage payments. It had been 4 years, 48 consecutive timely payments. I hovered over the recurring automatic transfer, my name clearly listed as the sole contributor, and clicked the cancellation button. A small box asked for confirmation. "Are you sure?" I whispered a soft yes into the empty room. Step 2, utilities. I had covered specific bills for the Scottsdale house for years, including electricity, water, and even the internet service when my father forgot. Click, click, click. All terminated. Step 3, supplementary funds. This included the emergency fund my stepmother texted me about every month, plus the periodic amounts my brother constantly required. The small sums that quickly totaled thousands. I stopped every single payment. Step 4 was documentation. If my father wanted a legal conflict built on formalities and paperwork, I spoke that language fluently. I started a blank file, naming it simply payments. No editorializing, no personal commentary, Just numbers, dates, amounts, and detailed descriptions. The document grew line by line, mapping out 4 years of financial sacrifice I had never revealed before. Seeing it was like viewing an X-ray of a serious fracture I had neglected to treat. My phone vibrated on the kitchen counter. A text from my brother, Grant. "You better not be pulling any drama right now." I ignored it. Another buzz. "My stepmother, Vivian, the mortgage is due tomorrow. Don't complicate this situation." Delete. Delete. They clearly thought I was merely bluffing. They assumed everything would snap back once I calmed down, but I was neither furious nor spiraling. I was finished. The following morning, I woke up earlier than usual. My apartment felt brighter, as though the very air had been purified. I brewed coffee, secured my hair in a tight ponytail, and sat at my dining table with my laptop. I logged into their mortgage portal, a motion of pure habit. Payment failed. A small red ribbon flashed across the top of the screen. Account past due. My heart rate remained steady. I did not panic. Instead, I experienced a powerful sense of relief. This was the first observable crack in the entire structure. They had built on my financial support. By that afternoon, the consequences were spreading. A flood of emails arrived in my inbox from various services I supported. Payment unsuccessful. Card declined. Account inactive. Each notification felt like a restrictive wire being severed from my own body. Around 5 p.m., my brother called. I watched his name illuminate the screen, practically radiating entitlement. I allowed the call to ring until it stopped. 10 seconds later, a voicemail notification appeared. "This is not funny." I deleted the message instantly without listening further. That evening, I sat on my balcony again, watching Seattle's lights spread out below. Cars hummed far away. The wind softly brushed my hair. For the first time since my childhood, I felt true ownership over my own existence. It was not pride or victory, it was genuine agency. I wasn't bringing them down. I was simply removing myself from an arrangement constructed solely on my exploitation. As I inhaled the cold air, a realization settled over me, sharp as frost on metal. My father believed disowning me would cripple me. He forgot one essential fact. I had been the one holding the entire system together. And now I was supporting nothing. Not anymore. 2 days later, my stepmother called in a panicked state. Her name flashed on the screen, vibrating the phone intensely on the desk. I did not move. I finished pouring my coffee, using the steam to help steady myself. When I finally accepted the call, I placed it on speaker. "Batty, what did you start? The mortgage payment failed. The bank called your father. They confirmed it was rejected. It must be paid today. Do you understand? Fix this immediately." It was an order, not an inquiry or an expression of concern. I took a deliberate sip. "My father requested that I handle all matters through his attorney," I stated calmly. "I am complying with that instruction." The line went silent, followed by a sudden sharp breath. "What lawyer? Do not behave like this, Batty. You are acting without reason." I terminated the connection. 10 seconds later, the phone rang twice more. Then came a flood of messages, mixing accusation, guilt, and raw desperation. My brother, Grant, joined the fray next. "Are you out of your mind? You are ruining Dad's life. Push that payment through today." A subsequent message read, "You think acting this way gives you power? You are truly pathetic." For previous years, these words would have crushed me. Now they seemed trivial. By noon, the intensity of the calls had shifted from frantic to menacing. My stepmother threatened legal recourse. My brother promised I would be permanently excluded from the family. My father remained silent. His lack of communication was more noticeable than their noise. That afternoon, the dynamic changed completely. My attorney contacted me. She informed me she had received communication from the supposed legal representative of my father. The stiff email accused me of financial harassment and demanded the immediate resumption of all payments. She simply chuckled. "This has no legal basis," she said. "It's just empty pressure tactics." "Perfect," I replied, taking a breath, "because I need your assistance with a separate matter." I informed her about the years of financial support the video Uncle Ted had sent and how my family used me like an expense account. Then I revealed a suspicion I had never voiced. There were consistently reported differences in his community fund statements. I suspect Walter might be mismanaging the finances, potentially worse. She grew focused. We start digging right away. For the next 7 days, every available moment was devoted to a silent inquiry. I worked through my audit files, matching transaction dates against the fund's public documents. The more we checked, the more discrepancies emerged. My attorney enlisted contacts she trusted, and soon the situation was irrefutable. My father was not sloppy. He was draining money, large, recurring sums hidden by vague documentation. The discoveries continued. One night at 11:00 p.m., an unknown number called. I almost let it go to voicemail. Instinct told me to answer. A quiet, shaking voice whispered into my ear. "Batty, it's my cousin, Skylar." She sounded terrified. "I saw the recording," she said. "I must tell you what he did to me." I held my breath. She recounted everything. How my father trapped her when she was 17, how she screamed, how her mother dismissed it as an error. She had been forced into silence for years. "I am deeply sorry," Skylar whispered. "I didn't know who else to contact." I closed my eyes. Walter was more than just abusive and manipulative with money. He was dangerous. 2 days later, the final shock came from an unexpected source. Julia, my mother's closest friend. Her voice was thick with emotion. "Your mother suffered greatly, Batty. She kept the severity hidden to protect you. Walter controlled her funds, her choices, and her friends. He destroyed her spirit slowly." A deep structure inside me fractured. This was not a poorly functioning family. It was a structure based on one man's total control. I was not going to be his next victim. I was the one ending the cycle. The inevitable confrontation happened on a calm Thursday evening. The Seattle sun dropped low, casting gold light through my window. I heard 3 heavy knocks on the door and immediately knew who it was. When I opened it, my father was standing there. His face was gray and visibly aged by sheer panic. The authority he usually projected was gone. "Batty," he pleaded urgently. "Please, they are considering legal charges. The fund administrators are accusing me. Rumors are circulating. Stop this. You can fix this. You are the auditor. Just say it was a simple mistake." His voice broke. "You are still my daughter," he finished, nearly begging. I let the silence fill the space until he fidgeted uneasily. I reached into my file and presented him with a single page. His hands shook as he read. When his gaze landed on the list of problematic transactions and the misconduct summary, he gasped. What exactly is this?" "A summary," I answered, "of what the investigators are aware of, and what others will know very soon." He looked up, panic clear in his eyes. "You caused this." It was an accusation. "No," I replied softly. "You caused this." He shook his head, his voice rising. "Batty, please, I require your assistance. You owe me everything." I stepped back. "I owe you nothing," I said. "And you disowned me, do you recall that?" His composure shattered. "I didn't mean it." "That is the problem," I said. "You never mean it." I closed the door immediately. The latch made a gentle final sound. I heard my father take a single broken breath outside. That was the instant his whole structure collapsed. Not because I actively ruined him, but because I finally stopped supporting him. The repercussions moved faster than I imagined. Within a week, the Community Fund Board officially started an internal inquiry. My attorney sent them the summary of discrepancies, and the situation rapidly worsened. Meetings were held, testimonies were demanded, and quiet questions turned into open accusations. My father's respected name became a cautionary tale. My brother tried defending him online, but his efforts only highlighted the investigation. People questioned their intentions. Screenshots were shared. His reputation fractured under the weight of his inherited entitlement. By the end of that month, the Scottsdale house, his status symbol, my financial burden, was placed under foreclosure proceedings. The payments I had exclusively covered for 4 years had been its only defense. Without me, the asset failed instantly. Meanwhile, my life in Seattle shifted positively. My supervisor complimented my handling of a complex audit and offered me a promotion, noting my ability to maintain clarity under extreme personal stress. I left her office with a job title that accurately reflected my expertise. One evening, standing on my balcony, viewing the city lights, a peaceful realization settled within me. For the first time, I did not have to pay for tranquility. I learned one simple lesson. Family is defined by respect and treatment, not biology. My decision to leave the people who exhausted me was not selfishness. It was a required act of survival. Setting limits was not cruelty. It was freedom. If you have ever felt forced to carry too much or hold everything together alone, you are right to finally set that burden down. Share your story in the comments and subscribe so you don't miss the next one.